Welcome to Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. I'm Steve Swatt with the Sacramento Report. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about reacting to scandal at the state capitol, new efforts at political reform. My guest this segment is Jerry Hill, a member of the state Senate from San Mateo County. Thank you very much for being with us.
Steve. Happy to be here.
You have a piece of legislation. There's a lot of legislation going on at the Capitol now, reacting to the scandal in the Senate with the 3 suspended members under criminal indictment, and one was convicted, but also involving the Public Utilities Commission and its what you consider to be its cozy relationship with the president, with PG&E.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about this legislation, because it's disclosure, it limits some travel gifts.
Yeah, it's very comprehensive. It puts some restrictions on a lot of things. But the first thing that it did was to restrict the use of campaign funds for a criminal defense. Right now, a candidate or a person who has a campaign committee can use the money in that for their criminal defense. And in some cases, they have hundreds of thousands of dollars. This will restrict that in the future. But one of the important issues is that right now, legislators, appointed officials, the president of the California Public Utilities Commission can travel around the world. He received $230,000 worth of gifts of travel over the last 10 years. And they're paid for by very innocuous sounding nonprofits, the Committee for Good Government, Committee for Energy. But no one knows where the money behind that comes from. This bill will now require disclosure of the funds and who is providing that money that's paying for that travel. What we found was those funders right now are all the utilities that the president of the PUC, Michael Peavy, he's supposed to regulate. Right. And that because of the fact that he's been having this cozy relationship, PG&E, for example, over the 10 years that Michael Peavy has been president, just in the last year did they receive a fine for gas violations. When we found, and it's been disclosed, and now PG&E has been criminally indicted on 12 felony counts, that there is a cozy relationship and it needs to stop, and we need more transparency.
Peavy might say, I would imagine, that these are fact-finding trips to learn more about the industry or what's going on in various places throughout the world, and that it's more a perception problem than an actual problem. And your response would be? My
response was, if it's a fact-finding thing, then you can go through a university, you can go to a company, Sweden or Europe, England, any other country. You don't have to be followed along by the lobbyists and the representatives from the utilities who go on these trips as well, and with the sole purpose of bonding, networking, and creating that cozy relationship with the leadership of the regulator that is responsible for their conduct in California.
Of course, members of the legislature do the same thing.
Well,
right?
Members of the legislature do, and this restriction will also apply to them. Or the restriction, but more the transparency, so that people will know exactly who is funding this, who is behind it, so you can watch if there's a pattern that develops. Is this in the case of the PUC with PG&E? I mean, when you look at it, there has to be a reason why they weren't fined for any gas violation for 9 of the 10 years that he's been in power. And so you tie it together, and then you can see.
So
and people have a right
so
to know.
This would also apply to legislators when they make a trip, an institute or whatever, sends them to Hawaii for a study session.
Yes,
supposedly.
Absolutely. Go to
right?
Hawaii on a study session. In fact, the organization that does pay for some of the trips to Hawaii, they're voluntarily going to disclose who is funding those trips in the future, because they want transparency as well.
Only a few seconds left. Do you think the climate at the Capitol now is such that something like this can get through? Because usually legislators don't like to make too many changes.
I think it'll be hard for a legislator not to vote for this, because it is good government and clear.
All right. Jerry Hill, member of the state Senate from San Mateo, thanks for coming by. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. Pleasure.
And thanks to our viewers for watching Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. A reminder, you can see this and other interviews on My Government On Demand, also on YouTube. Have a great day.